This is the Nations Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. In light of the stories that I've just been covering about Congress addressing aliens, addressing UFOs, this whole notion that Donald Trump is going to open up all of these secret government documents to tell us about the existence of aliens and how the government has been hiding it for so long, they are beginning to prepare people for the alien deception. Not, of course, the alien invasion that they've trained you to believe is going to come from the sky. And this is very interesting to note over the last week or so. There are a lot of stories out there that are, quote, saying aliens exist in the multiverse. Like every new superhero film says. If you look at some of these stories out there, scientists explore possibility of alien life in parallel universes. Scientists say aliens may be hiding in the multiverse. Do aliens hide in parallel universes? We may not live in the most likely of universes. So the truth is starting to actually be revealed. Now, think about some of those phrases real fast about scientists saying that aliens are hiding in the multiverse, a parallel universe. It's kind of like what you're told about when it comes to ghosts, right? If you watch any of these supernatural shows, I'm sure you've at least stumbled upon one in your life or seen a movie where there's a possession going on in a home, like the Amityville Horror, something along those lines. They always tell us that there's ghosts in the same space as we are. And people, of course, believe that ghosts exist. If you ask the majority of people, they'll tell you that ghosts are real. They believe in the quote-unquote supernatural, yet they've been trained to think that demons don't exist. The same now with aliens, right? And now you're starting to see they're actually discussing, because they've been training you with the multiverse, with portals, which I've shown you over and over again for quite a period of time with what they're doing at CERN. They're now actually offering up the quote-unquote theory that, well, aliens are real. They might not be flying around in UFOs out there. They might actually be interdimensional. They may actually be in a parallel universe. They may be able to time travel, right? So now you're seeing even the lines blurred between the alien deception and the ghost deception, which are, again, one in the same. Ghosts are demons, supernatural, demons, spiritual. When people are talking about ghosts in their home and they're having psychics, they're saying, oh, my light went on in the middle of the night, or I feel this, I get goosebumps when I feel this, or I feel that. That is demonic entities. And a lot of times people are inviting these demonic entities into their homes without even realizing it. It is not your great grandma who's coming to say hello. It's not your deceased dog. It's not your Uncle Frank coming back looking to play a quick poker game with you, okay? Great Auntie Maureen isn't showing up to give you a recipe that you've been looking for that you thought died when she died, okay? These are supernatural entities, which in fact are demonic entities. So these stories are out there. And remember, this all goes back to Aleister Crowley. This huge deception that's coming with aliens has to do with demons and bringing demons into this realm, into our physical realm. Today they call them angels and demons. Tomorrow they will call them something else. The demon that we all know and see, which is portrayed to us as an alien in movies, is in fact Lam. Aleister Crowley, the spirit that he channeled, which was called Lam, which is an entity, is the depiction of what we see today as grays that we're told are these mysterious aliens. And again, you might say, well, why wouldn't they just tell us that demons are real? Why wouldn't they just say that this is spiritual? Because then everybody would be led to God. Then everybody would realize that the Bible is real. And so many references in the Bible to exorcisms, casting out demons, demonic possession, and God talking about spiritual warfare would suddenly seem real to people. Thus, people who believe in man-made things like atheism would no longer be atheists. People who believe in demonic deities, who think that they're gods of their specific cultures or regions, would no longer believe in those deities. It would prove God's existence. It would prove that everything that God says in the Bible is in fact real. That's why they've changed the terminology, because they want you to accept aliens in this realm, which really means accepting demonic entities and demonic possession in our physical realm. So let's take a look at what some of the articles out there are saying. And they're coming from magazines or publications like Popular Mechanics, Popular Science, Interesting Engineering. So this is what they have to say about it. Scientists have long pondered on one of the universe's greatest mysteries. Are we alone? They have researched the cosmos, but so far there have been no sign of extraterrestrial life. Is it possible that aliens are lurking in parallel universes? A new study explores this idea. The idea of aliens hiding in a parallel universe, though seemingly absurd, is presented as a way to bridge the gap between theoretical physics and the search for extraterrestrial life. For this, a team led by Durham University are exploring the famous Drake equation. They have expanded the parameters of the Drake equation by considering the possibility of parallel universes. In the 1960s, astronomer Frank Drake developed this mathematical equation to calculate the number of intelligent extraterrestrial civilizations that could exist in our home galaxy. The equation considers factors like star formation rates, the number of habitable planets, and the probability that life on these planets would develop intelligence. The team at Durham have proposed a new twist to the equation. Quote, the chances of intelligent life emerging in our universe and in any hypothetical ones beyond it can be estimated by a new theoretical model which has echoes of the famous Drake equation. The concept of a parallel universe is hypothetical, but explored in science fiction and theoretical physics, but so far lack concrete scientific evidence, right? So let's think about this in our space, where we live. Nobody has seen anybody go to the moon because what we've been shown is fake. And if they could go to the moon, they would have went back to the moon. Obviously, they won't fake going back because they know with technology now that everybody would break it apart as CGI, and they would totally never believe that we went to space in the first place. They're content with half of the population, or a little bit more than half, believing that we actually went to the moon versus the other half who obviously have eyes to see and ears to hear and know when they're being deceived by Satan and his minions. So we haven't been back to the moon. We haven't broken the firmament. We haven't gone into space, right? But people believe that there's aliens who are somehow coming down from space and crashing on Earth. However, when we look at things that are being done on Earth, right? Now they're telling us about potential black holes that these interdimensional beings that they're calling aliens can travel through. What do we know that billions and billions of dollars are being invested into? Well, CERN. And what is CERN admitting to doing? Well, they're admitting that they're attempting to open a black hole. And what does the common person say when they hear that? I don't know what they're trying to do with CERN. I'm not a rocket scientist. I don't understand that stuff. But clearly they know what they're doing, right? Well, they tell you they're opening up a black hole, right? So now we can think about all of this stuff with aliens and them starting to whisper the concept of portals being used to bring these things in, but wanting you to still believe, of course, that these are aliens who are teleporting in from, let's say, Jupiter or Saturn or Mars or likely Uranus, no pun intended. And of course, the astrology behind this, obviously these are gods among the occult. That's what the planets are named after. Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Venus, Jupiter, Mars, Mercury, right? Saturn, obviously. People should know that at this point if they're awake. So they're likely going to tell you that these interdimensional beings are here in peace. They're friendly. They're going to coexist, and they're going to come from all these planets out in space. But instead of flying here in their spacecraft and breaking through the firmament, they're going to come here through portals. And that's why they've been conditioning you with portals. If you haven't noticed, I know the majority of you have because I've pointed it out. But if I show you the repetition, it'll help your brain awaken, and there's always new people, right? So let's quickly recap how much and how often we see portals now. All of the Marvel movies, which have been conditioning you, all of the superhero movies, conditioning you with magic and witchcraft and sorcery, right? That's what superhero powers are. Nobody even thinks twice about it, about the correlation between superheroes and witchcraft. Well, what goes on now in those movies? Every single one of them has this thing called the multiverse, which is exactly what these articles are saying. They're saying aliens exist in the multiverse, right? In the multiverse, when they show it in these movies, they depict it as what? A big round circle, a portal. Well, who else uses a big round circle? All right, witches and Satanists too. when they invoke demonic entities, right? All the pictures, everything you've ever seen of a witch, right? Whether it's in a movie or in real life. Most of us have not come across witches in real life, I'm sure, doing an actual ritual, because we probably would be behind bars somewhere. But if you ever come across movies or depictions of witches, right? They're always in a circle. There's usually one drawn in chalk. I'm sure you've seen it around true crime shows, crime scenes, when there's satanic involvement. And then, of course, they try to pretend like they're not really Satanists. They're just, they're just weird people, right? There's always a circle, a protection circle, where they invoke these entities, right? How interesting that the portals also are these gigantic circles. How interesting that during all these concerts we always see, the stage is set up as a giant circle, because there's spell casting during these performances. If you listen to the lyrics, if you listen to a lot of these songs with backmasking, they're summoning demons. We think of this stuff as nothing more than just words being sent out to us. The frequencies being used. These are spells that are being cast, right? So, not just the multiverse, what else have we seen? Well, we saw New York and then Philadelphia, putting this giant portal up in the middle of these cities. Who got permits to do this? What is the point of this, other than to condition people? Oh, because people need to be entertained. I'm going to go to the portal. What are you going to see? I'm going to see a camera into Ireland. What? Really? Why don't you just go on YouTube and watch one of the live cameras then over there? No, we're going to put a big portal up in the middle of the city, and we're going to cause chaos and traffic and the streets to be congested more than they already are, and people are going to come and look at it, right? So we saw those portals. We saw the story I covered about Ohio, the person literally building a 50,000-pound Stargate in their backyard that must have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Stargate referencing the movie Stargate, which was about going through a portal, dimension hopping, time traveling, right? Katy Perry opens the portal for her new album. Remember her new album where she comes out and she goes, the portal opens tomorrow. Then what do we see Katy Perry doing? Well, we see Katy Perry on stage, and then we have a giant circle that looks like that portal that we saw in Philadelphia and New York, or that portal in the multiverse, right? And standing on top, like she's on top of the Tower of Babel, we see all these demonic arms reaching around the portal. I mean, it looks like a portal, does it not? The Weeknd just had his song come out where he's running into a portal, right? Eminem with the portal. The portal opens in New York City from 2002, and then Eminem appears through a portal. Kanye West recently with the portal symbolism during his concerts. They are conditioning you with portals. Repetition is the key to mind control. The more desensitized you get to seeing this stuff, the more used to it you get, the less you question it, the less you're even going to care about what they're actually doing or using it for. And again, we go back to, okay, there's so many things out there that depict black holes. And what do the black holes always look like when they show us images of the black hole? It's a giant circle of a black hole. And we've even seen stories of how aliens use black holes to as interdimensional portals, okay? These are demonic entities. And again, I know people have seen this, but let me show anybody out there who's new. It's always good to catch it again. A compilation of clips from CERN all the way to Stranger Things, which the main theme of all of this is summoning demonic entities. These demonic entities are going to be called aliens, and they've trained you to think that these are friendly creatures from another dimension, from another planet, that there's other life, that we need to accept all of these other lives. What do you think all this crap that they've been programming you with about people identifying as this and identifying as that has been about accepting this and tolerating that? It's been training for this, because if humanity knew that evil, wicked people who control pretty much all the corporations and all the money and then use words like science and technology, we're actually looking to destroy everything here in our physical space on Earth by bringing these things over, they'd all be gone. They'd all be in jail, and everybody would unite and follow God's word, because they'd say, holy crap, God is real. I've been deceived. The school system lied to me. These doctors and scientists lied to me. I've been lied to my whole life. And where did we hear that in the first place, right? Right in the Bible. Satan, the father of lies, right? So here's a compilation of some of those clips that show you exactly what all of this interdimensional portal opening is about, and you've been conditioned into seeing it over and over and over again.
existed for over 100,000 years. You weren't so different from apes. How long did it take you to discover agriculture? It took you 90,000 years to get from hunter-gatherer to farmer. How long did it take you to become industrialists? Atomic power, computers, the information age. And how long do you think it took us to get from hunting to farming, and farming to industry, and industry to atomic power? We are going to kill your science. It's a proton. One we have turned into a sentient computer. The universe has more dimensions than the 3 we occupy, but we have the technology to unfold them. We summon energies you cannot imagine. Even a tiny proton becomes something very large. A proton has virtually no mass, to the places where your best minds explore reality. Every civilization ends in chaos. There will eventually be a cataclysm from which we cannot recover. Our planet will be ripped in half.
Well, basically, there are parallel universes, infinite variations of it.
Like the Veil of Shadows.
And the tightrope is our dimension. And our dimension has rules. You can move forwards or backwards. The flea can also travel this way.
Upside down.
Exactly.
Is there any way for the acrobat to get to the upside down?
You'd have to create a massive amount of energy. Open up some kind of tear in time and space. You create a doorway, like a gate. It might even swallow us up whole.
Now, have you heard of the Garrow Research Facility?
In Long Island, the particle accelerator?
Yeah.
It actually splits the proton of the atom.
Well, you know more than I do.
Well, it's a 14-mile loop that accelerates electrons and protons close to the speed of light.
Local parishes in Ryland are protesting. The particle accelerator will open the gates of hell.
So the scientists, they want us to prove they're not opening the gates of hell.
What's that? Something that was filmed down in the particle accelerator.
Satan, help us open this portal. We deliver this sacrifice to you.
The Vatican is asking you to investigate and write up a report.
It's a prank, right?
Well, I don't know. That's your job.
How did they make that video, Doctor?
We're in a friendly competition with CERN, particle accelerator in Switzerland. They did a similar video making fun of the satanic panic about their opening. So what can we do to convince you we are not Satan worshippers?
I mean, it's just the name that the night ship calls it. B-33. And the proton collider. They broke through something. But there's something there. Something under the concrete. A creature. They dragged that woman into it.
That's where the beams converge.
Oh, and your safeguards.
The beams are accelerated around the loop at 13,000 revolutions per second.
Any concern about an uncontrollable black hole?
It's not going to happen.
I know.
So again, with all of this stuff going on, we're going to start hearing more and more things. I know everyone's going to be looking to Blue Beam, which you can guarantee they can use Blue Beam as part of the deception, because they still are going to want you to think that space is real, that they're coming from space, but that they could potentially teleport from space into our dimension, that they don't have to fly around in jets and cars up in space. It doesn't have to be like the movie Independence Day around us all the time. Although I'm sure when they do Blue Beam, it'll be along those lines where it does look like that. And then they say, hey, you know, they can interdimensional travel. And everyone will go, well, we saw them up in the sky in those big crafts. They can interdimensional travel. They've been here all along. Well, yeah, they can. They do. They will. Can they come? Of course they can. We're accepting of them because we've been trained into accepting demonic entities, demons, into our actual physical realm. And don't forget, like I said earlier in the video, when Donald Trump takes office, they're going to start pretending like this is the exposure of the deep state, that they've been hiding this from us for all this time, and that aliens and UFOs are real, and maybe we can coexist. And no one's going to say, you know, Have they been hiding it from us all this time, or have they been indoctrinating and training us all this time? And that's exactly what they've been doing. Training you for the deception that is about to come. So that's, seeing stories out there about aliens existing in the multiverse, aliens living in parallel universes. It's getting closer and closer to the truth. And now you see another pivot in the conditioning of how they're going to deceive people still into believing that these demons are in fact aliens, but they are not. It's a term that they created to cover up what they really are, which are demons. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless all of you as always and your families.